The air hung heavy with humidity. John fidgeted in his beat-up Honda Civic. He stared at the red target sign, pulsing like a beacon. His heart hammered. It wasn't the summer heat, it was the plan. The terrible, exhilarating plan. John wasn't a thief. At least he didn't see himself that way. He had a decent job, a loving family. But lately, everything felt different. Bills piled up. His daughter needed braces. Desperation whispered in his ear, urging him towards a line he'd never crossed. He thought about turning back. He pictured his daughter's face, her bright smile. Would she be proud of him now? The shame washed over him, cold and suffocating. But the need, the crushing weight of his circumstances, pushed him forward. His hands trembled as he turned off the engine. He walked towards the store, each step heavier than the last. It had started simply. Browsing online, late at night, he stumbled upon a forum, a digital hive of shared secrets and illicit tips. Boosting, they called it. He learned the lingo lifters, blind spots, the five-finger discount. He felt a thrill, a dangerous curiosity bloom within him. He devoured every thread, every comment. He learned about RFID tags, security cameras, the best times to strike. He told himself he was just curious, that he would never actually do it. But the seed was planted. He started noticing things he hadn't before. The placement of cameras in his local target, the routines of the employees, the moments of vulnerability. He felt a strange sense of power, a mastery over a system designed to control him. He told himself it was all hypothetical, a game. But deep down, a plan was forming, solidifying with each passing day. He would prove something, to himself, to the world. He would beat the system. The air conditioning hit him like a wall, a sudden, almost shocking relief from the sweltering heat outside. It was as if he had stepped into another world, one where the oppressive sun couldn't reach him. The contrast was stark, the cool air a welcome change from the relentless burning rays of the sun that had been beating down on him all day. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting a sterile glow on the brightly colored aisles. The lights seemed to buzz with an almost mechanical precision, illuminating every corner of the store. He grabbed a shopping cart, the familiar metal handle cold against his clammy skin. The sensation was grounding, a small piece of normalcy in an otherwise tense situation. His heart hammered against his ribs, each beat a reminder of the stakes. He felt exposed, vulnerable, as if every eye in the store was on him. Every shopper, every employee seemed to be staring at him, their eyes filled with suspicion. It was as if they could see right through him, see his intentions. He knew it was paranoia, a trick of his anxious mind, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. The sensation was almost palpable, a weight pressing down on him. He made his way to the electronics section, a familiar hunting ground from his online research. The aisles were filled with gadgets and gizmos, each one a potential target. He picked up a pair of headphones, pretending to examine them closely. The act was rehearsed, a part of his carefully crafted plan. His hand trembled as he discreetly glanced around, checking for cameras, for witnesses. The fear of being caught was a constant companion, gnawing at the edges of his resolve. He moved with a practiced casualness, mimicking the movements of other shoppers. Each step was deliberate, each action calculated to blend in, but his heart pounded in his ears, a relentless drumbeat of fear and anticipation. Sweat trickled down his back, a physical manifestation of his anxiety. He was in too deep now. The point of no return had long passed, and he knew he had to see it through. There was no turning back. With a final, determined breath, he steeled himself for what was to come. He slipped the headphones into his backpack. A surge of adrenaline coursed through him, a heady cocktail of fear and triumph. He did it. He actually did it. He moved through the store with newfound confidence, his eyes scanning, his senses on high alert. He grabbed a Bluetooth speaker, a video game console, a pair of designer sunglasses. Each stolen item felt like a victory, a middle finger to the system that had failed him. He was invincible, untouchable. He had beaten the system. The weight of his problems seemed to lift, replaced by a euphoric sense of power. This was it. This was the answer. But even as he reveled in his success, a gnawing feeling of guilt began to eat away at him. He tried to ignore it, to bury it under the exhilaration of the heist. But it was there, a dark stain spreading through his conscience. Section 5. The Weight of Guilt. He reached the checkout line, his heart pounding in his chest. He fumbled with his wallet, his hands slick with sweat. He avoided eye contact with the cashier, a young woman with tired eyes and a forced smile. He paid for a pack of gum, the absurdity of it hitting him like a punch to the gut. He was surrounded by stolen goods, hundreds of dollars worth of merchandise, and he was paying for a pack of gum. He rushed out of the store, the stolen items heavy in his backpack. He wanted to run, to disappear into the anonymity of the crowded parking lot. But something held him back, a strange mix of shame and defiance. He glanced back at the store, at the red Target sign, now a symbol of his transgression. He had won. And yet, he felt like he had lost something far more valuable. A hand clamped down on his shoulder. He froze, his blood turning to ice. He knew with a sickening certainty that it was over. "Sir, can you come with me, please?" The voice was calm, firm, brooking no argument. He slowly turned, his muscles stiff with dread. A man in a security uniform stood before him, his face impassive, his eyes cold and hard. He wanted to deny it, to run, to disappear, but the words caught in his throat. He felt a strange sense of relief, as if a pressure valve had been released. The game was up. He glanced down at the security guard's hand, still firmly gripping his shoulder. It felt like a brand, marking him as a criminal, a thief. The shame washed over him, suffocating him. He had made a terrible mistake. The walk to the security office felt like an eternity. Each step seemed to stretch time, making every second feel like a minute, every minute like an hour. Each step echoed in the silent hallway, amplifying his shame. The sound of his footsteps was a constant reminder of his impending fate. He kept his head down, avoiding the eyes of the employees who passed by, their faces a mixture of curiosity and disdain. He could feel their judgment, their silent accusations piercing through him. He felt a hand on his back, guiding him forward. It was a gentle yet firm reminder that there was no turning back now. He didn't need to look to know it was the security guard, his presence a constant reminder of his humiliation. The guard's shadow loomed over him, a silent sentinel of his disgrace. He wanted to disappear, to melt into the floor, to wake up from this nightmare. The reality of his situation was suffocating, a heavy blanket of dread that he couldn't shake off. The security office was small and sterile, the air thick with the smell of stale coffee and disappointment. It was a place where dreams came to die, where hope was extinguished. He sat down heavily in a chair, his body trembling with a mixture of fear and adrenaline. His mind raced, replaying the events that led him here, each mistake magnified in his memory. The weight of his actions pressed down on him, crushing him. It was as if the very air around him was thick with the consequences of his choices. He wanted to explain, to apologize, to beg for forgiveness. But he knew that no words could undo what he had done, but the words wouldn't come. He had no excuse. His silence was a testament to his guilt, a confession without words. He had thrown away everything, all for a few stolen items, for a fleeting sense of power. Now, all that was left was regret, a bitter taste that would linger for a long time. The following hours were a blur of paperwork, phone calls, and icy stares. The sterile environment of the police station only amplified the cold reality of his situation. Every form he filled out felt like another nail in the coffin of his former life. The police were called, their arrival a stark reminder of the gravity of his actions. The flashing lights and the stern faces of the officers were a harsh contrast to the chaos that had unfolded. He sat there, numb, as his fingerprints were taken, his mugshot snapped, his life dissected and catalogued. Each click of the camera shutter felt like a judgment, a permanent record of his fall from grace. He thought of his family, their faces etched with worry and disappointment. The weight of their expectations and the pain of their betrayal bore down on him like a heavy shroud. How could he explain this? The words seemed to escape him, leaving only a void of confusion and regret. He had no answers, only questions that gnawed at his conscience. How could he justify his actions? The guilt was overwhelming, a constant reminder of the choices that led him here. He had crossed a line, and there was no going back. He had betrayed their trust, their love, all for a moment of reckless abandon. The consequences of his actions were now painfully clear, and the damage seemed irreparable. He thought of his daughter, her bright smile now a distant memory. Would she understand? Would she forgive him? The thought of her innocent face brought a fresh wave of sorrow. He felt a surge of shame, a crippling wave of regret. He had ruined everything. The life he had built, the relationships he had cherished, all lay in ruins because of his actions. As he was led away in handcuffs, he caught a glimpse of himself in the reflection of the security camera. The image was haunting, a stark reminder of the man he had become. The man staring back at him was a stranger, his face haggard, his eyes filled with a profound sadness. The reflection was a painful reminder of the choices that had led him to this point. He was a criminal, a thief, a failure. The labels weighed heavily on him, each one a testament to his fall from grace. The future seemed bleak, a dark void filled with uncertainty and regret. John's story isn't unique. It's a story repeated countless times in stores across the country, a silent epidemic fueled by desperation, opportunity, and a complex web of psychological factors. For some, it's the thrill of the act, the adrenaline rush of getting away with something forbidden. For others, it's a cry for help, a manifestation of underlying emotional or financial struggles. But regardless of the motivation, the consequences are always the same: the crushing weight of guilt, the legal ramifications, the shattered trust, the lasting stain on one's conscience. John's story serves as a stark reminder that the real price of shoplifting extends far beyond the monetary value of the stolen goods. It's a price paid in self-respect, in relationships, in the very fabric of our social contract. It's a price that, once paid, can never truly be refunded.